a whole part of the philosophy of Way of the Cobra is circling back and paying it forward. And so one of the reasons to have a mentor is as you work on yourself, you know, at some point, somebody hopefully is going to come to you and ask you to mentor them.
Right.
And that is part of what it means to be in my dojo in Way of the Cobra, that you have to be willing to take what you're learning, not only for me, but what you learn in life, and pay it forward and share it with somebody else.
Okay. Hi everyone, welcome to Go All In show here on ABC 15. My name is Stant. I'm your host, and today I would love to welcome my special guest here with me. I'm super excited to interview you. Sean Kanan, welcome to the house.
Tim, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for your time and being here, seriously.
My pleasure.
Well, hey, thank you so much again for sending this book to me. Everyone, you got to get this book. And Sean, when did you write this book?
So I started the book a couple years ago, and it was actually being written with a different title in mind, kind of a different setup, but the same material. And, you know, I was thinking about it, and with the huge success of Cobra Kai on Netflix and, you know, my being in the Karate Kid universe, and there being such an enormous appetite for all things Karate Kid Cobra Kai right now, I said, you know, I really should capitalize on that, you know, not so much because I wanted to milk it, but because I wanted to get this book into as many people's hands as possible. And I just felt, you know, from a marketing point of view, it wasn't a big switch to kind of convert the book over. I could have basically the same material in it, and it would be the difference between, you know, a couple hundred people buying my book and many, many thousands. So I started the book a couple years ago, but really probably in the last year, put it into overdrive and finished it.
Yeah, and when did you release this book?
The book came out about 2.5 months ago, and we just sort of have done a soft release right now because we're in the process of finishing a really cool interactive Way of the Cobra website and app. And it's going to allow people the opportunity to take coaching sessions with me, to see video components from the book. There's a workbook, all sorts of stuff. And because of that, I haven't even put it on Amazon yet because I really want people to go to the website and get the full Way of the Cobra experience. So hopefully that website is going to be completely finalized in the next 30 days. But the book has been selling like crazy, and I've been hearing from people all over the world that they are really experiencing transformative effects from it. And that's really my goal. You know, I always say, sure, I'm doing podcasts and interviews because I want to sell books like every author, but at the crux of it, at the core of my reason for doing this is that I honestly know that the material in this book has the ability to help people change their lives. And I want to see as many people benefit from it as possible.
Yeah, and again, when I opened it up, this is very unique because like I see the work that you have been doing previously and to like this book and this workbook together, and you're very smart because I can see people are going to want to learn from you with the coaching program like that really help them take an action, because seriously there's tons of motivational books, right? And if you don't take action, which is you wrote it in here, if you don't take action, there's nothing.
Absolutely. You know, look, you can't walk into a bookstore and swing a dead cat without hitting hundreds of, you know, motivational books. And, you know, I always tell people, before you think that I'm living on top of a mountain in Kathmandu, levitating above the ground, contemplating my navel, you know, I wrote this book because I've made every mistake in the book. And, you know, I've had to learn the hard way. And, you know, I think part of my job in this book as being a sensei is to be a guide so that I can help people, you know, I can steer them away from some of the pitfalls on the path. You know, I believe that a sensei or a teacher or a mentor's job is not to pull somebody to the top of the mountain. It's to allow them to, trudge the path themselves, but at a few obstacles and maybe a few wise shortcuts.
Yeah. Well, people use the word guru, guru in fashion guru or whatever guru. But the true meaning of guru, because I have my guru. I study in India. I study classical dance from my guru that I touch her feet. Yeah. So the word gurus mean the one who removed the darkness inside you, because guru,
that is correct.
Yeah, gu is the darkness and ru is the remover. And your book right here, if we can find our guru like that'd be.
So are you Hindi?
No, I'm not. I don't have religious.
Oh, okay. Because I draw a lot from Eastern religion in this book, and if you remember, there's a big passage in the book where I talk about meditation, and I talk about the Bhagavad Gita and
right. Yeah. I saw you talk about Arjuna, and in Bhagavad Gita. Where did you learn all of that, or you just from your research, or you live your life like that too?
No, truthfully, a lot of the stuff that is based on Eastern philosophy is a mixture of my martial arts, background, and also. I've always been kind of a seeker, and I think there are certain things in the universe that are truths. You look at, for instance, what Jesus says, that which you reap, so shall you sow. And you look at Buddha, who talks about the law of karma, cause and effect. What you put out into the universe, you get back. So I believe that there are certain things that are said by many different messengers, but the message itself is truthful. And so I think in my life, when I found things that I have believed to be true, I've been very interested to see who are the other messengers bringing the message. And so I think there's, such beauty in many, many religions and many, many philosophies. And, it's kind of like Bruce Lee said when he was creating his style. He said, look, take the best parts from everything and take what works for you and leave the rest.
Exactly.
And that's what I've done.
Exactly. I came from Buddhist religious and then turned into Christian. And now I'm just like, I just want to leave the religious alone. I'm just going to take the message.
Exactly.
That's my decision right now.
Right there with you, sister.
Thank you, brother. All right. So in this book, the first thing that you mentioned is you got to accept that you were born winner.
Yes.
Big. I mean, because a lot of us, and I found that especially people here in the Western world, the Americans, even though from my world, we view Americans as very developed country, the world, powerful country. But yet, when I talk to a lot of friends, they don't have that self-esteem. They don't believe that they were born winner.
So what you're referring to in the book is I say that in order for you to make change, there's two things that you have to do. Yeah. And one of them is you have to accept the fact that the universe wants you to win. And so I say, how do we know that? Yeah. Well, we know that because survival is ingrained in our DNA. All you have to do is look at a baby who knows not to breathe when its head is underwater. For 200,000 years, Homo sapiens were not the apex predators on the planet. They were running around trying not to get eaten by saber-toothed tigers, but we're still here. And those ferocious felines are, a footnote in an anthropology book because it is ingrained in us to survive. Survival is the very baseline of winning. You can't win, you can't succeed if you're not around, you're not alive. So you have to accept the fact that the universe does want you to win. I think a lot of people, unfortunately, and especially in recent years, have allowed themselves to associate themselves with some sort of victimhood. And this is not to say that there aren't people who have experienced terrible trauma and that there aren't people that have had experiences in which they were a victim, but the choice to continue being a victim is just that. It's a choice. And we call it playing the victim. Well, it's just because it's a role. It's a role you assume like an actor that you're going to play it. Well, why do people do that? Why do people want to assume the role of the victim? Well, there are a lot of benefits to being a victim. I mean, I'm being serious. You get temporary empathy and understanding from people. You get to associate yourself with a larger group. You have the ability to kind of trauma bond with people. And so, we have also created a society where, we're so afraid of putting shame on people that, that people are very willing to play the role of the victim. And when I talk about shame in the book, there's two types of shame. There's the toxic kind of shame that is humiliating and diminishing and that has no place in anyone's life. But then there's another kind of shame, which I talk about, which can be positive. If you experience shame because you've done something where you've let yourself down or you haven't behaved to the level that is commensurate with the morals and ethics that you should be living by, right? Unless you're a sociopath, you tend to feel shame. And that shame is kind of like putting your hand on a hot stove and it tells you, hey, don't do this again. It doesn't feel good. And so, it also goes back into that whole thing of how, we're a society where everybody has to be a winner. Everybody gets a trophy for 9th place. Well, guess what? When you get out in the real world, it ain't like that. And, if you're raising children in this mindset that everyone deserves, to be a winner just for showing up, that's not reality. You have to work to become a winner.
Right. Lately, I've been interviewed with a lot of authors and entrepreneurs, and they all said, if you want something, you got to become that.
Absolutely. Gandhi said it. He said, become the change in the world that you desire. Gandhi said that. And it's true. You have to become what it is that you want to be.
But damn, it is very hard.
And I talk about this in the book. Look, very rarely is somebody's path to success a vertical trajectory. I mean, it generally is you go up a few steps, you fall back. You go up a few more, you go to the side. You understand that as long as you're continually working to do your best, to make positive progress, to be kind. I'll tell you what, a lot of times I get asked by kids, they say, okay, give me a couple like nuts and bolts things that I can do to be successful. And I've really thought about this and I've distilled it down to a couple things. The first thing is so simple. We all learned it in kindergarten. It's the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Treat people the way you want to be treated. That's number one. Number two, have empathy. And by empathy, I mean, when you're going in line at the pharmacy and you see an older person taking a long time and they seem like they're very concerned and upset, you don't know if that person's deciding, do I buy my husband medicine tonight or do I eat tonight?
Right.
When you see some vagrant guy at a bus stop howling at the moon, you don't know if this guy is dealing with mental illness or, substance abuse. My point is this, you never know what private war someone else is fighting. And so if you can treat them with a little more empathy, that's a huge stepping stone on the way to success. The third thing is behave with integrity. Do as you say what you mean. Your words should be bond.
Yeah.
Okay. That's critical. The last thing is grind. And by grind, I mean, get out of bed early, hit the ground with enthusiasm and passion for what you're going to do. Be committed every single day to not only making your life better, but to making other people's lives better. I talk a lot in the book about the win-win scenario. You don't, in very, very few exceptions, with very few exceptions, do you have to lose for me to win. There are absolutely situations most of the time where I can get what I want and win, and I can still help you get what you want. It might not be exactly what we both want, but it's going to be close. And I tell kids, if you can do those 4 things consistently, you may not have the kind of success that you dream of. It rarely looks like what you think success is going to look like, but I promise you, you've got about a 95% chance of having a successful life.
I love it. I feel like your book is very unique. I feel like I get the training in the same time. It's different than the other self-help book, because I feel like you paint the picture in our head, you know, and speaking to you like this is really, really, this is fantastic. Move on to the self-discipline, because in order to train, I'm trained classical dancer too, and which means 7 to 8 hours a day, doing the same thing 100 times, right? So self-discipline, again, a lot of people think that it's like, I don't have self-discipline. But do you believe that everybody can have self-discipline?
Yeah, I believe everybody can have self-discipline. It comes down to how bad do you want something. You know, that's, I mean, you know, you think about when you first fall in love with somebody, you will move heaven and earth. You will walk across glass.
It will show up.
Exactly. So when something's important to you, you are able to exhibit self-discipline. I talk in the book about the difference between discipline and self-discipline. And the easiest way that I can differentiate the two is this. Discipline is going to the gym 5 days a week with a trainer.
Okay.
Self-discipline is dragging your ass out of bed 5 days a week and doing it on your own. And discipline is a fantastic thing. I mean, you know, discipline in the military takes undisciplined young men and women and turns them into, you know, elite soldiers. Discipline keeps, you know, frighteningly scary criminals in jail from behaving in ways that society can't deal with. The question becomes, when those parameters are removed, whether it's your drill sergeant or, you know, the prison guards, does the discipline still stay? So the ability to enact self-discipline is what is, I think, more important. And I'll tell you something, I struggle with it all the time. I do all the time. I wrote this book because, like I said, I've fallen into all these pitfalls. There are, you know, struggles I have with discipline on a daily basis. I'll give you an example. You know, I hurt my shoulder. I had an old boxing injury, and I haven't been able to be in the gym for a while. And so I put a little weight on, and I'm starting a film Tuesday. And I really didn't like the way I was looking. And I realized that I had about 10 days where I could, you know, dramatically change my behavior so that I could kind of pull it together. And it's not fun. You know, I'm fasting for 18 hours a day. I'm having a protein shake and some stir-fried vegetables, and that's it. And you know, it's not great, but I'm able to do it and self-discipline myself to do it. And the benefits are very rapid. And, you know, sometimes we need the help from others to discipline us. And sometimes we have inner strength and we're able to self-discipline ourselves.
I love it.
But they're both critical to success. Nobody achieves success without either one of them.
Right. And I believe everyone need a mentor, right? Or guru.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, mentors are something that I talk about. You know, throughout history, most of the great people have had mentors. You know, Plato had Aristotle, and Aristotle had Plato, and Bill Gates had Warren Buffett. There have been, you know, so many relationships that have exploded, have done so because they've had the benefit of a mentor. Even the master Michelangelo had a guy named Ghirlandaio who taught him, you know, sculpting early on. And finding a mentor is a life-changing thing. And I talk about the necessity of doing it and finding the right one. And then also, you know, a whole part of the philosophy of Way of the Cobra is circling back and paying it forward. And so one of the reasons to have a mentor is, as you work on yourself, you know, at some point, somebody hopefully is going to come to you and ask you to mentor them.
Right.
And that is part of what it means to be in my dojo in Way of the Cobra, that you have to be willing to take what you're learning, not only for me, but what you learn in life, and pay it forward and share it with somebody else.
Exactly. In the last chapter, for your black belt chapter, you're talking about feed the cobras, right?
Yes.
The light one and the dark one. Is it?
Yeah.
Very fascinating.
Well, there's a very famous story.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people know about two wolves, and so for the purposes of the book, I made two cobras.
Yeah.
And the story very quickly is that an old Hindu snake charmer is with his grandson, and they're sitting in front of a fire, and the grandson looks at his grandfather for wisdom, and the grandfather says, "Grandson, there are two cobras that live within me. One is made of light and one is made of darkness. And there's a battle that rages inside of me between both of them." And the grandson looked at him and said, "Grandfather, which one wins?" Now, the story usually goes that it's the one that you feed, okay? The light cobra is made of love and light and joy and peace and empathy and compassion. And the dark cobra is anger and vitriol and jealousy and insecurity. Right. But the real answer to the question, which one wins, is if you feed them both, they both win. And the reason is that we need both our light side and our dark side. Yeah. Because while the dark cobra has all of those negative attributes, it also has force of will. Yeah. It has discipline. It has the ability to get tough when the going gets tough. Yeah. All sorts of qualities that we need in life. The light cobra, of course, its attributes are a little more obvious, but without one, we're not a fully integrated being. And so you have to learn how to feed your dark side. And I talk all about that. Feeding your light side is easier. Feeding your light side is really simple. We gain self-esteem by doing estimable acts. Yeah. The more estimable acts that you do, the more kindness that you show, the more the light cobra is empowered. Unfortunately, in life, there are many potential pitfalls for the dark cobra because we live in a society of wanting instant gratification. So often, we grab something to eat that we shouldn't. We grab a drink, we grab a drug, we have, unconnected sex. We do all of these things to make ourselves feel better. When in reality, if you concentrate on being happy, on feeling good, you don't have to find things to make you feel good. It is entirely possible to be a happy person and be having a miserable day, where you don't feel great, but you're generally a happy person. It's easy to temporarily make yourself feel okay by, I call it feeding the whole, but the WHOLE, because you're trying to feel whole by eating something, drinking something, retail therapy, spending money on something. Those are all things that give you that temporary dopamine rush, but then there's a crash. But by working on yourself and really becoming a happy person, you're able to weather the storm for the times when you're dealing with things that put you in temporary discomfort. Yeah,
I love that, because a lot of people will probably gonna think, okay, you choose the right one, the light cobra, like, try to stay away from the dark, but we need both. And I always like to tell my kids too, like, obstacle is the detour to the right direction.
Absolutely. Yeah. And obstacles are the challenges that, we're faced with and have to overcome so that we appreciate the victories.
Yeah. I love that. So what is your legacy look like, Sean?
What does my legacy look like? When I first got into acting, I thought I was getting into acting because I wanted to express myself, and that's certainly true. But when I really thought about it, and as I've gotten older, I realized that, I got into acting because I want to inspire people. And as I've gone a little further down the path, I've realized that acting is only one way with which I can inspire people. I can do it with my writing. I can do it with my with my motivational speaking and my coaching. And so I hope my legacy is going to be a rich one, that I was able to inspire the world and illuminate a way for people to be their very best, to be a Cobra. Cobra is an acronym formed from the words character, optimization, balance, respect, and abundance. And the tagline for the book is unleash your inner badass. And everybody has an inner badass. It may be yet undiscovered. It may have gotten maybe lost along the way. I know that's happened to me at times, but everybody has one, and you just have to get in touch with it and let it out. And I'll tell you, I mean, we've been obviously dealing with a pandemic for the last, year and a half, 2 years. Yeah. If you would have told me that during a pandemic, I would star in back-to-back movies with Bruce Willis, I would release this book, that I'm about to start another movie for the Lifetime channel, and that my show Studio City would have won the Emmy for Outstanding Show, and that I would have won the Emmy with my wife, I would have said, you're nuts. And all of those things happened. And I don't say those things to impress people. I say it to impress upon you what is possible when you get out of your own way.
Yeah, that's the key. Get out of your own way.
Not always easy.
Nope, not at all. So can you share with us, how can our viewer, our audience, reach out to you if they want to order the book and also work with you in the future?
Absolutely. So you can order the book at wayofthecobra.com. You can also reach me on Instagram at Sean.Kanan, and I do look at people's DMs and try my best to respond. I'm also on Twitter, and I make myself very easy to find. My email is sean.kanan@gmail.com, and I really love interacting with people. And anybody who is interested in improving themselves, and if I'm able to help, and I think I can, I would welcome hearing from you.
And if you're ready to take action and, change your life, this is the time. There's no any better time. Don't wait.
Absolutely.
And contact Sean and reach out to him either from Instagram. I think that's the best way to interacting. This is a lovely platform that they've been created. Guys, check out Sean Kanan, check out Way of the Cobra, read this book, read this book, and really apply to use in your life. Thank you so much, Sean, for being here.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure talking with you, and I hope we have the chance to do this again.
We'll do for sure.
All the best. Go out there and kick some ass.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sean.
Take care. Bye-bye.